In my previous video, I was referring to the fact, or I don't know, my opinion, that experience is about as real as anything can get, at least from the first-person perspective. And again, I'm not trying to say that there is an I out there. What I'm saying is that there is, at least from where I'm standing, or where this, whatever it is that I call I in terms of grammar, has a first-person perspective. So that's all I'm talking about here. So from the first person's perspective, experience is real, and it's as real as anything can get. So okay, what does that really tell us? Well, I think that it tells us a lot, and it's the first step towards feeling oneself out of, or reasoning oneself out of, any sort of solipsism that might ensue from starting your epistemology from where I do, i.e. from the cogito, from instead of where everyone else starts, sort of outside. I start from the epistemology is from the internal. I'm not saying I'm the only one that does that, by the way. So experience is real, but experience, to be experienced, requires something to experience it. Now, desire and experience seem to be inextricable simply because there are aspects of experiences, or experiences themselves, that we want and that we don't want. So that's desire, right? And desire is a function of experience. And desire is also an interesting permutation on experience, because desire is an abstraction. You're not just, when you desire something, you can say that desiring is the result of a bunch of chemical reactions. I'm actually talking to Artificer about this at this very second. You can say that, but you can't really explain what desire actually is that way, at least chemically, i.e. from the second person perspective, i.e. looking at it, like say you're in a microscope looking into a Petri disk. You're not going to find any desire that way. Desire has to be approached from the experiential level. What does it mean for me to desire something? What does it mean for desire to exist? Even if we're not going to say me, what does it mean for desire to exist? You can't have desire, or if there's no desire, then there's no suffering, and there's no non-suffering, or no nothing. Desire is an experience, and suffering is that kind of experience that you do not desire, or that you are averse to. You want to push away from yourself. That's desire. But again, what is desire? People will say, well, desire is a survival mechanism that helps us survive. Yes, well, that's all very well, but it still doesn't tell us what it actually is. Or they can say desire is caused by a bunch of hormonal reactions inside the central nervous system. Yes, but again, that doesn't tell you what the thing called desire actually is. Desire is a cogitation and a preference for that which is not. In other words, if you're suffering and you want your suffering to stop, then you want something that is not. You want to be in a state where there is no suffering. You want a state that isn't actually real. That state is an abstraction. Now, how you can have abstractions in a completely, say, deterministic universe is an interesting question. And, you know, we know that desire for something that one doesn't have, i.e., let's say I want $1 million. Well, I don't have $1 million right now, but desiring $1 million means that I've created an abstraction in my mind, i.e., I have an image of myself with $1 million in my mind, and I'm not at that state yet, but I want to get to that state. That's abstraction. Abstraction, I don't think you can actually speak of in terms of determinism. You can say that you were determined to abstract about certain things, but determinism will not create, determinism has no explanation for abstraction in and of itself. I'm not saying that we can't say that whatever we abstract, or whatever abstractions we come up with, are determined. That's fine. But what I'm saying is abstraction itself. Explain the existence of abstraction itself in a determined universe. Not what might cause it, or not what the reason for it might be. Explain what abstraction actually is in a determined universe. It's incompatible. At least incompatible in the way that some people seem to express their views of determinism. I don't really think that determinism and things like the will really, or things like experience, really operate on the same level. I'm not even talking about compatibilism here, because I'm seeing the possibility here of a deterministic universe that has, say, that allows for the existence of the will, or that allows for the existence of abstraction, i.e. desire, i.e. suffering, may operate on more levels than we realize. That reality may not be simply some sort of mechanism. Now, again, I'm not talking God here. I can't say that enough. I'm not talking about spirits or fairy dust or anything like that. I'm simply pointing out certain uncomfortable, observations about what reality is. I don't think that there's a physical, mechanical explanation for abstraction and desire and suffering and all that kind of thing. Qualia. It's the hard problem of consciousness again, isn't it? And as I say, we're dealing with, in a certain sense, the sort of truest reality there is. Because, again, from my point of view, the only thing I'm sure about is my own existence and my own experiences and my own preference or aversion for certain experiences or aspects of certain experiences. These things seem unarguable, and it seems unarguable that my experiences leave marks on me and form whatever character may or may not be present, or whatever word you want to use to describe my personality or anything like that. That all seems to be unarguable. Now, unarguable, be careful. I'm not talking about I'm not saying that anyone has to take that on faith. What I'm saying is, I'm talking about everything at the experiential level here. I'm not talking about it at the second person, i.e. looking at it. I'm talking about being in the driver's seat of existence itself. I don't think that there's anything that anyone can do to convince someone else that their experiences aren't happening. How would you do that? Now, that's not proof that it is existing, but it's proof to me. That's the important thing here. I know that my experiences are taking place. I know this. It is unarguable. I don't know that anyone else is, but I don't know that they're not having experiences. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about when we're talking about things like, I was talking to someone else about proof or whatever, and I said, I'm not talking about trying to convince you of anything else. I'm trying to talk about, from where I'm standing, what in terms of my own epistemology here, what can I take for granted? I don't even, from this perspective, I don't even have to convince myself that existence exists, or that I even know what existence is. And again, you might argue that I've started from something that curiously resembles solipsism. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't think that this is a solipsistic conception of the universe at all. Experience is real. That's still out there for discussion.